Hey guys, and welcome back to Gardens and Grace. For those of you that don't know me yet, my name is Tasha, and today I'm going to be planting out my containers. Now, I did another video where we set these containers up and we prepared the soil, we added some organic fertilizer to this space, and now I'm going to plant mostly some of my transplants in here. I do have some things that I can start from seed, but the key with containers is always going to be you have limited space and resources within your containers, so that means you're going to have to water often, and you're going to have to use something like a water-soluble fertilizer just to make sure your plants have the nutrients that they need to grow and to thrive throughout the season. So I'm also going to put a mulch on top of this when I get done, just to kind of help keep the soil moist in here, and also to keep the soil temperature a little bit cooler. I also have these containers positioned right next to my water hose, so it's really easy for me to come out and water them daily. During the heat of the summer, I'm probably going to have to water these twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening. The thing about these are they're 5-gallon grow bags, so there's really not a lot of space in here. A 10-gallon grow bag would probably be ideal for most of your plantings, for most of your vegetables, but to give you a cheap option and to kind of save some space, because I only have so much room in my garden, I decided to go with the 5-gallon. I can still grow a lot of food in here, but I'm gonna have to be really conscious about making sure that it stays well watered. Now, it did just rain here last night, and it looks like it might rain again today. So once I get this planted, I'm gonna kind of determine if it looks like it's gonna rain, I'm not gonna water it in. If it doesn't rain, I'm gonna go ahead and water this in, and then I'll layer the mulch on it as well. So let's see, I brought out several things. I have some holy basil. I have some peppers that we started together a couple of weeks ago. I told you when we started these that ideally we would put peppers in a much bigger container, but we started them in these small plug trays because I knew they weren't going to be growing in here very long. It's been about 2 weeks. I also have some dwarf tomatoes. I'm really excited to try dwarf tomatoes in my garden this year, and I've got several other varieties growing. This is called a Mexico midget dwarf tomato. And I also brought out some petunias, so some flowers. In case we have some extra space, we'll put in some flowers. Some bush beans, because I never can have too many bush beans, and some bunching onions. Bunching onions, the cool thing about onions, anytime you plant any onions in your garden, they will help keep down a lot of your pests. So they're a really good companion planting option. The scent of onions and garlic, anything in the allium family, will deter a lot of your pests. Okay, so I think to start with, I'm just gonna start with this guy right here, and I'm gonna do, in a space like this, I could do, really, truthfully, I could do several peppers. Peppers don't mind being close together. I would say maybe I could probably get away with 3 peppers in this space if I really, really wanted to. But since I'm doing a bell pepper, which has it's a little bit bigger plant, if I was doing something like a cubanelle pepper, I'd probably do 3. But because I'm doing a bell pepper, I'm only gonna put 2 in this space. I actually brought out gloves, but I guess I'm not gonna use those. This plug has 2 peppers growing in it. I'm gonna put both of them in here, and I will, you know what? No, I'm not. I'm gonna just pinch off one. It's always sad to do this, but if you're limited on space, seedlings are really cheap. Just pinch off the seed and let the other plant have the space that it needs to begin growing and get established. When I do that, I just look for the healthiest seedling and keep the healthiest one, and pull out the one that doesn't look as healthy, if they're not both super healthy. You know what, I think I think I'm gonna do a different kind of pepper over here, and I am gonna do that cubanelle pepper, and I think I'm gonna go ahead and do 3. In this space. Let's do one right here, one right here, and one right there. Yep. So I have 3 Cubanelle peppers in my plug trays. I also have a yellow bell pepper. We'll see if we can get that guy in. Set it right here. Same thing with this one. I have 2. I really could leave it if I wanted to, but because I don't want them competing for resources, putting 3 in this space is already a lot of peppers to put in a small space. So you can get away with it, but it's just best to give your plants a little bit of room if you have the ability to do so. I'm still gonna get a ton of peppers just off of these. Cubanelle peppers especially, they produce really prolifically. All right, now I'm gonna go with, let's do tomatoes. Because these are a dwarf variety tomato, I can plant these in a 5-gallon container. Now, if I had even an indeterminate tomato that wasn't a dwarf variety, more than likely I would plant that in something like a 10-gallon container. Again, just because they're gonna dry out so fast, and we want plenty of roots or room for those roots to get well established. The thing about this is I have like 3 growing here. Tomatoes are one of those things that you can easily separate. So I'm gonna put these in this container. In this space, I only have 1 more of these tomatoes. So I'm gonna put in 1 tomato. And then I'm gonna fill in the rest of that space with some holy basil. I have 2 in here. I'm just gonna take the healthy, actually I have 3 in here. I'm gonna take the healthiest looking one. That smells amazing. I love the smell of holy basil. And then here, I think I'm gonna do the other 2 holy basils that I have and just have a whole container of holy basil. Basil is one of those plants that we can keep it really compact by using a lot of it. So when you prune your basil, you're gonna prune your basil and use what you take off the plant. I will show you how we prune basil throughout the season, but basically you can prune basil quite a bit and keep the plant at a size that you want it to be, and it will do just fine. The soil has settled down quite a bit in these containers with all of the rain, but that's okay. There's a ton of soil in these containers. There's plenty of space for my plants to grow in, and I'm not too worried about it. So I'm gonna plant some bush beans here, and I think I'm gonna do some bunching onions as well. And with bush beans, I can plant them kind of densely. I think I'm just gonna do 3 plants in this space, and then a small little row of bunching onions. I really love bush beans. The thing about them though is you really need several plants to get enough to even make a meal. I come out, but they are prolific. I come out and harvest bush beans almost every day, at least when I remember to do it every day. And I'm just gonna sprinkle the green onion seeds in here. And bunching onion seeds. I'm gonna sprinkle bunching onion seeds in here and just cover them lightly with the soil. Doesn't have to be perfect. I'm gonna put some bush beans in this container. And then I think I'm gonna put a petunia just on this outer edge. Oh, that one wasn't ready to come out yet. I think I'm just gonna put a petunia on this outer edge here. We're gonna see how that works. That might be a little full, but it's okay. I'm gonna do some more bush beans back here. We'll do 4 in this space. Back here, I think I'm just gonna put a yellow bell pepper. And I'm gonna add 1 more petunia. And that's pretty much it, guys. So I'm gonna water these in, like I said, with a water-soluble fertilizer. I've shown you guys that in other videos, so I'm not gonna bore you with that process, but I'm gonna call this space good. So I'm gonna come back and mulch around them once the plants get established a little bit, maybe in a week or so. I'm gonna use back here in these herb beds, I showed you a mulch that I put together for the herb beds, and I tried it as an experiment. I'm really loving that mulch, and it's just pine shavings that I get from my local Tractor Supply. It's the same thing I use in my chicken coop. So I'm probably gonna use that to mulch the tops of these containers. Like I said, within a week or so, we'll let the plants get established and let them begin to grow, get them a little space in between the plant and the soil, and then I'll mulch around them. And I can do a kind of heavy mulch just because there's still room in these containers. So that's it, guys. Thank you guys so much for hanging out in my garden with me today. May your garden be filled with grace, and may you be abundantly blessed. We'll see you next time. Bye.